On the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out on a trek into the Ural Mountains in Russia, where they were part of a group called the Dyatlov Pass Expedition, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. The group had planned to hike to a mountain called Otorten, and then return to their starting point in the town of Vishai. However, the group never made it back. On February 26, after a search party was launched, the hiker's tent was found abandoned on the slopes of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. The tent had been cut open from the inside, and all 9 hikers were missing. Over the next few days, search and rescue found the bodies of the hikers scattered around the area, some of them with injuries that were difficult to explain. The incident has since been known as the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and it remains one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. This is their story. The Dyatlov Pass Expedition was made up of 9 hikers, all of them students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute in Russia. They were all experienced hikers and had gone on expeditions together before. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, who is an experienced hiker and had been on several expeditions in the past. The goal of the expedition was to reach the summit of Otorten, a mountain in the northern Ural Mountains. The group set out on January 25, 1959, and reached the town of Vishai on January 27. From there, they began their trek into the mountains. The group consisted of 8 men and 1 woman. Igor Dyatlov, the leader of the expedition, Yuri Doroshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Yuri Krivonishenko, Alexander Kolovatov, Zenaida Kolmogrova, Rustem Slobodin, and lastly, Nikolai Tabobrignol. The group had made good progress and reached the base of Kholat Syakhl on February 1st. According to the diaries and photographs, they set up camp and began preparing for the night. However, something had went wrong during the night. At some point, the hikers cut open the side of their tent from the inside and fled into the freezing cold. Search and rescue later found footprints leading away from the tent, some of them barefoot or just in socks. The footprints led to the edge of a nearby forest where they disappeared. The search party found the abandoned tent on February 26, along with most of the group's belongings. However, there is no sign of the hikers. A search of the area was launched, and over the next few days, the bodies of the hikers were found scattered around the area. The first 2 bodies, those of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, were found at the edge of the forest, about a mile from the tent. They had apparently tried to make a fire, but failed and had frozen to death. The next 3 bodies, those of Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin, were found several hundred meters away from the first 2. They had apparently tried to return to the tent, but had also frozen to death. The last 4 bodies, those of Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolovatov, Nikolai Tabobrignol, and Semyon Zolotaryov, were found months later, buried under 13 feet of snow in a ravine over 250 feet away from the cedar tree. The state of their injuries was even more bizarre and gruesome. Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her face. Kolovatov had a fractured skull, and Tabobrignol had several chest injuries. Zolotaryov had a fractured skull as well, but it was not the cause of his death. The Soviet authorities conducted an investigation into the incident, but their official conclusion was that the hikers had died of a compelling natural force. However, many people believe that the government covered up the true cause of the hikers' death, and various theories have been put forward over the years. One theory suggests that a small-scale avalanche could have been the cause of the hikers' deaths. The group has set up camp on the slope of a mountain, and they may have unknowingly camped in an area prone to avalanches. The sound of the avalanche could have been mistaken for an explosion, explaining why the hikers fled their tents in the middle of the night without proper clothing or gear. The injuries sustained by some of the hikers could have been caused by the force of the avalanche. Another theory is that the hikers were caught in the Kármán vortex strait, which is a type of wind pattern that can create high-speed winds and low-pressure areas. This phenomenon can create infrasound, which is below the range of human hearing, but may cause feelings of unease, panic, and hallucinations. The hikers may have become disoriented and fled their tents in a state of panic, resulting in their deaths. Another thing to add to the mystery of the victims of Dyatlov Pass was the presence of radiation. After the bodies were found, investigators discovered that some of the victims had high levels of radiation on their clothing. This led to speculation that they may have been exposed to radioactive material either before, during, or after the time of death. A few theories have been put in place as to what may have caused the hikers to come in contact with radiation. One of the most popular theories suggests that the hikers accidentally stumbled upon a secret military testing site, possibly involving nuclear weapons or radioactive materials. This theory is supported by the fact that the area surrounding the Dyatlov Pass was known to be used by the Soviet military for testing purposes. Another theory suggests that the radiation may have been a result of natural sources, such as radon gas, which is known to be present in the region. It's possible that the hikers could have come in contact with radon gas through the rocks in the area, which are known to contain high levels of uranium. Lastly, it's also possible that the hikers drank contaminated water that contained radioactive materials, although this theory is considered less likely. However, later studies revealed that the radiation levels were not high enough to have caused any harm to the victims, and that the levels were consistent with natural background radiation. It's now believed that the radiation was simply a coincidence and not related to the cause of the incident. There are some theories surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident that suggest the involvement of extraterrestrial beings. One of the pieces of evidence cited in support of this theory is the presence of strange orange orbs in the sky reported by witnesses in the area around the time of the incident. Some have suggested that these orbs were UFOs, and that they may have played a role in the events that took place. However, it's worth noting that there is no concrete evidence to support the idea that extraterrestrials were involved in the Dyatlov Pass incident. Many researchers and investigators believe that there are more plausible explanations for what happened to the hikers, and that theories involving UFOs and aliens are simply not supported by the available evidence. As for the orange orbs, there are a number of potential explanations for these sightings. Some suggest that they could have been natural phenomena, such as atmospheric anomalies or the aurora borealis. Others believe that they may have been man-made, such as flares or other military equipment. Some theories have suggested that these mysterious orange orbs may have had a link with the radiation mentioned earlier, but the lack of connection between the two makes it highly unlikely and a separate mystery on its own. Despite numerous investigations and a wide range of theories, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most mysterious unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. The physical evidence, eyewitness accounts, and various scientific studies have contributed to many theories about the cause of the tragedy, but ultimately added more questions than answers. The memory of the 9 hikers who lost their lives in the remote Russian wilderness lives on, and their story continues to fascinate and haunt those who hear it. What are some strange theories that you have heard about the Dyatlov Pass incident? Let me know what you heard in the comments below. Thanks for watching our late night top 5 channel. We're a new channel and would love to have your support by subscribing, liking, or simply dropping a comment down below. To watch more interesting late night videos, click the links to continue watching more.